you because I just left the movie theater from seeing The Book of Clarence. Now, you heard me mention Omar Sy earlier from Lupin, which is a great show if you like robbery movies and shows and stuff like that. Go watch that. It's on Netflix. It's spelled like Lupin, like Lupin, but it's pronounced Lupin. It's a French show. But go watch that movie. But Omar Sy is actually in the Book of Clarence, and I do like his character a lot. So let's get into this whole Book of Clarence thing. Also, a spoiler alert. So I'm gonna need you, if you plan on seeing this movie, skip this. Now, the reason I was so like eager to go see this movie because I loved Harder They Fall so much, and I felt like James Samuels is doing like that was his first movie. But if that was your first movie, it was The Harder They Fall, and it was that good. I'm going to see everything you make because like I like his vision. I like the vision that he has when it comes to cinematography and just the idea, like the stuff he's willing to do, right? I'm just judging off of that one movie, Harder They Fall. So now we come to the Book of Clarence, right? And I want to say, shout out to him. I did love the cinematography. I love the wardrobe design, costume design, whatever you want to call it. I love the setting. He said that they shot it in like one of the world's most anciently inhabited cities in the world. So that was pretty cool. It was good to see because, it wasn't like they didn't have to use a bunch of CGI and green screen for the background. I hope he wasn't lying on the Breakfast Club when he said that they was at this city. Either way, if they really weren't there, it looked good though. If he was lying and they were just in a desert in Arizona, whatever the set was, it looked very, very, very good to me. Right. So now something that I didn't like, or some things that I didn't like. There was some weird graphics in this movie. I did not like it. I didn't even think it was necessary. This is a movie set in quote unquote biblical times. So you don't need like some of these graphics, right? Let me give you an example. When Clarence would have an idea, a literal light bulb would show up above his head like a cartoon. Like a light bulb would show up above this man's head in a movie about biblical times. A light bulb would show up on top of this man's head when he had an idea. Okay. It was so unnecessary. I feel like Lakeith Stanfield is a good enough actor. He can portray, I just got an idea. He can portray that on his face without having to use words and without having to use weirdo CGI light bulbs above his head. That was odd. I don't know what you were smoking. I don't know what shrooms you did that day before you decided on that one, but that was weird. Another very weird CGI thing that they did was they was smoking weed, and when they smoked, they would literally start floating. Like, I'm saying floating like these people, humans, lifting up off the ground in the movie after they smoke. Why? What is the point of that? So y'all didn't have so they couldn't think of a more creative way to show somebody being high than to do that. Come on, this movie did not need that. First of all, there's this whole like idea of Clarence being the weed man or whatever, right? Which is okay, whatever, if that's what you want to do. But the way the where this movie was going, the direction this movie was going in, it didn't need that at all. Like this whole stoner thing wasn't needed at all. It felt like they was trying to make a stoner flick for a second. Like for the first 30 minutes of the movie, it felt like they was pushing a stoner movie, not a movie that people should take serious as like, look at the messaging of this movie. I'm gonna just tell you, right? Like I said, spoiler alert, if you don't want the movie spoiled, don't watch this. I was getting the vibe of, at first in this movie, it was like Friday. I was watching Friday. That's how it was feeling to me at first, because Clarence is supposed to be selling weed to get money back, to pay back some guy who he stole money from. That's not Craig Smokey and Big Worm? Because they was worried about what my man was going to do to them. They was worried about my man killing them, and he had a crew that could help him kill them. So they was like running around trying to figure out how we was going to get this money so we could pay this man back. This is Friday. Like, I know that like that's probably, these ain't the first movies to do that, but if y'all see a Book of Clarence, you're going to see what I'm saying. With the weed thing and then the weed to get the money back to pay back the big bully guy. I don't like somebody who I hope, did he write this movie by himself? Did James Samuels write the movie by himself? He didn't take any input. Is he going the route of I don't take input from other people? Is that the route that he's going? Because I did hear him on the Breakfast Club say when somebody suggests that you take something out of the movie because it doesn't look right or don't fit, do you keep it or do you get rid of it? And he said, like, I'll listen to what they said, but I'm still going to keep it. Like, that's not always the best approach because, yes, it is your baby and you create, or you're the brain behind it. But sometimes, I guarantee you, Envy asked him that because DJ Envy asked him that question, I guarantee, because of the stuff I'm talking about. The floating people and the weed thing and all. Like, I guarantee he asked for that because of that. Like, why you got light bulbs in this movie above people's head when they get an idea? Not even people. Clarence's head when they get an idea. Why you got that? But so that was totally unnecessary. Now to get into more of now, all of those things I just named that I feel like kind of take away from the seriousness of the movie, I feel like it goes against what he's preaching in his interviews to say, do you think it's blasphemy because the image looks like you? Do you not realize that that's what they looked like back then? So it's like, on one hand, you're trying to say this is what serious history was going on. And then on the other hand, you like are not trying to tell a serious story at all. You're trying to, like, it's a comedy movie. You got floating people and everybody's playing around in there. Another thing I had a problem with was the language being used. Like, it's a lot of modern words in there. Everybody had a different accent. There was some American English accents. There was some British English accents. There was some Nigerian English accents. There was some people sounded like they was in Wakanda. Like, there was so many different accents in this one area. This area, Jerusalem, is supposed to be very small. They would have all sounded the same. The Romans would have sounded like Romans, but all these black people would have sounded the same, though. You see what I'm saying? So some stuff is like, was you just trying to make a comedy movie, or what was you trying to make? Like, I'm confused about the direction. What did you want people to leave with? I thought the movie was okay. It was solid, but I just want to know where you was thinking you wanted to go with that. Because me, I'm somebody that judges what's there, right? I don't tell a person to make a movie like, yo, you should have put something else there. No, I'm just going to judge what's there, right? And what I saw, some of it was strange. Some of it I felt like was unnecessary, and I feel like it's taken away from some of the seriousness. So when I hear Charlamagne say something like Lakeith should get an Oscar for that movie, I think had you kept that movie a serious movie the whole way, he would get some real consideration for it. But because they decided to do all this comedy stuff and use all these graphics that are weird and not really tell a story of a person who is either betraying Jesus or whatever like that, not really telling that story or focusing on that story and focusing more on these like playful little details around that story, I feel like you kind of took him out of Oscar contention when you did that. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be one of the movies that's kind of forgotten over time because we finally get a Black Jesus on screen besides the show Black Jesus, which is also a comedy. But instead of just getting a serious Black Jesus on screen, you got a stoner movie, like with some good actors in it. That's pretty much what you got. So I think oh man, I don't know how this made it past QA. Honestly, I don't know how this made it. I'm assuming it made it past QA because James Samuels is the one securing the investment to make the movie. He's writing the movie, directing the movie, scoring it, doing the film, the music in it. So he's not taking input from anybody. That's how it's getting past so many different checks. Like, I think people are undermining it. Let's just say you believe in Jesus. I think people are undermining the whole concept of Black Jesus when every time you do a quote unquote Black Jesus, it's a comedy situation. It's never a serious Black Jesus, right? So if you running around, and not to say you can't laugh sometimes, I'm just saying that when they do white Jesus, they don't play with white Jesus. The people who believe in that, they don't play with white Jesus. They keep it serious. They like, no, this is gonna be a tearjerker. This is gonna make you feel something. This is gonna make it like, yo, I wish I could get a miracle about it. When you see this movie, you like, okay, There's no connection to it at all. There's no emotional connection to it at all in any way. You're not going to look at this movie and feel any ounce of seriousness when you see it. You know what I'm saying? There's people laughing throughout and if you go in the theater, you're going to laugh throughout this whole movie until maybe the very end. But the rest of it, so when they find, so all this time is like black people saying, yeah, Jesus is really black. Look, the bronze skin or the bronze feet, the woolly hair, all this. But then every time y'all depict him for real, like in a movie or a show, there's some funny shit going on. That's cool, man. Make the movies you want to make. I'm just giving my input on it, man. I'm just giving my input on it. I do like one specific concept though. The idea that what if Jesus was never the one that got threw up on the cross? What if that wasn't Jesus that happened to? What if that was somebody imitating the Messiah or the Christ or mimicking Jesus? What if that was that? You know what I'm saying? It's a good question. But like I said, I think that with all the comedy elements of this movie, I don't think we ever gonna get those type of debates or those conversations around the movie because people are gonna be too focused on the stuff I'm naming right now. That's all I got for that, man. Let me go ahead and move on. By the way, James Samuels, I'm still rocking with you. I haven't had a favorite director in a long time since John Singleton died. But I do think that as far as directors go, James Samuels right now is my favorite director moving, like my favorite new director, I'll say. He's my favorite new director right now because I like what he's putting on the screen. And shout out to you for that cast, man. I love to see the cast. He is merging. He's doing a good job merging the Black American actors with the British black actors, with the African actors, like he's doing with the Caribbean actors, doing a great job. You know, we got my man, I don't know his real name, but Lamar from BMF is in there. Of course, you got Lakeith. You got some actors that was in, you got the actors that were in The Harder They Fall, like my man that plays the baby dad on Rap Shit. I can't think of his name, but you got him. You know, you got Omar Sy, like I just named. You had Alfred Woodard popped up in the movie, man. You know, there's a lot of good, like recognizable actors for me anyway. So shout out to them. They got good younger actors, good older actors. There was just the cast was great. I love the cast. All the acting, like what they were tasked with doing, they all did properly. You know what I'm saying? My issue was more on the tasks. Why were they told to do this stuff? You know what I'm saying? But, you know, shout out to them, man.